Hey JMA, I'm Santi Palmiery, and today I'm going to talk about plants and plant propagation. Well, ever since quarantine started, kasi my dad, actually not just my dad, like my relatives around, we live in a compound kasi sobrang naging into planting sila. And I guess medyo na ano na rin ako, like my dad would just tell me na, oh, do you want this plant? Ganyan. And then binibigyan, actually I'm not the one who propagates them na, well, like sometimes, but then most of the times talagang binibigay na lang niya sa akin. And then I just like take care of it and let it grow. And those plants are usually in my room. And I would say naman na I did an okay job kasi they're still buhay as of now and they're still growing. So just to start it all off, plant propagation, it's basically just the process of growing new plants from a variety of sources. So pwedeng from seeds or pwede from like cutting like the stems and the roots of the old plants and then planting it. So yeah, there are two main types. So the two types are sexual and asexual. So you guys know naman like the seeds and stuff, that's the sexual part of it. So it involves like the union of the sperm cells and the pollen, and then from there nagde-develop siya ng seed, and usually the seed is like coated in like a seed coat, and it's usually in a fruit. So usually seeds just don't grow out of nowhere. So there's this thing called seed dormancy na the seeds, like there are conditions lang kasi that will help the seed grow or like germinate, and you need favorable conditions for that. So the conditions for germination, it actually depends on the seed and the plant itself, but then usually it's like a combination of water, light, temperature, like different factors that will allow the seed coat to break and for the shoot to grow. So I'll just show you like, okay, so this one is like the male part of the plant. So this is where the pollen and the sperm cells will come from, and then the female part is this thing. So kaya 'di ba sa spring, like in other countries usually nagkaka-allergies yung mga may rhinitis because the pollen gets spread around. And then para pumunta siya doon sa female part of the plant and magpo-pollinate. And then from there the seed will grow. So yun. And the next part will be the main focus of today, which will be the asexual part. So in the asexual part of plant propagation, there will be no mixing of the female and male gametes or like the sperm cells and egg cells. So this is just from the plant itself as it is. So it's like it just produces like genetically identical plants or clones from it. And they're actually natural and artificial ways to achieve asexual reproduction. So naturally, it's like when you grow mga ginger, it's like diba mga tuber, and then you grow it down the soil. But that's the natural part of it na. We're gonna focus on the asexual artificial part of it, which is like there's human intervention. The main advantage talaga of sexual reproduction is since parang imimix mo yung two gametes like the sperm and the egg cells, may genetic variations siya. So basically that's the these ones kasi you just cut it from the original plant and then you plant it. So it's like talagang asexual. It's like a clone talaga, parang talaga a carbon copy of the plant that you're For the home planting setup is for asexual reproduction, like ito yung mga propagating. I guess it is like you can say it's faster kasi it's grown na eh. Like there's already the actual grown plant there. You're just gonna wait for the new leaves to grow and then you like para mag-extend pa yung stem and stuff. Pero if it's the sexual reproduction pa, you're gonna plant the seed and then you're gonna wait for the seed to grow. So before we start, I think we need lang a brief recap on the parts of the plant. So you guys know naman the root. So actually these are called aerial roots. the little parang shoot growth there, those are actually aerial roots, and those are modifications of roots that grow above ground. So it's basically just that. So roots are the organs of the plant that provides anchorage and the taking of water and nutrients. And then the next is the stem. So this whole thing is the stem. So it supports the leaves, flowers, and fruits. Basically, yung mga appendages ng mga lateral appendages of the plant. So it transports water and nutrients from the roots to the other parts of the plant. And more specifically, like this part of the stem is like called a node. So a node is like a point of attachment of the stem to like leaves, to fruits, to flowers. So that's where like the budding and the leaves originate. In the middle, it's called an internode. So it's just internode between two nodes. There are actually a lot of ways for the artificial plant propagation, and a lot of those things are done in the lab. But at home, there are like easy ways to do it also. The main type that people usually do is stem cutting. So stem cutting is like cutting a part of the stem that contains both the node and the internode, so that we can propagate the plant and have new growth. So yeah, there are several ways for stem cutting. So after cutting like part of the node and the internode, you can either have water propagation, soil propagation, or aerial layering. So for the first one, we have water propagation. So in water propagation, which I'll show later, it's just you cut a part of the stem with the internode and the node, and then you just place it in water, and then basically yun na yun. So I have a plant here. It's called a pothos plant. So it has aerial roots, which are here. The small parang appendages, those are called aerial roots, and those are what we want to grow and what we want to submerge in the water para the nutrients will be absorbed. So I just have like a small jar with water. You can get any. This is like an old coffee jar lang, and scissors. And before we start pala, you have to sanitize the scissors with like alcohol, kasi baka may mga bacteria, and since the plant is small pa lang, if we cut it, baka mamatay siya. When looking at your plant, you find first the node and the internodes. Okay? So these are the nodes, and then kailangan parang the leaf is healthy, ganyan, para it will grow talaga. And find a region na you can cut. So you cut on the internodes themselves, para the node you can submerge in water. And you have to cut it diagonally daw, not like diretsong ganon. You have to cut it diagonally. So I'll just cut this, and then this one also. And then basically you just put it in here. Make sure it's really submerged inside the water. Kailangan yung aerial root at saka yung where you cut it, the stem, basta the entire stem area is under the water. But you have to replace the water every 3 days, every 2 to 3 days, and you just have to basically keep on watching it, and put it in an area with light, but not super harsh light, kasi baka mamatay yung plant pag super harsh light. But yeah, basically that's it, and we can move on to the next one, which is soil propagation. So basically for soil propagation, it's kind of the same as the water propagation, but we use a different medium. So instead of submerging it into water, we're just gonna put it in the soil mat directly. So I have here, I already prepared it kanina para maayos. Just a pot, and then fill it with soil. Basically, yun lang. And then we have to make sure that for the entire duration na we're gonna let the plant grow in this medium, kailangan every day siya i-water. Like, hindi naman super harsh watering kasi baka mag-drown and then mamatay. But then, kailangan moist talaga para mag-grow siya. So yeah, I'll just make sure it's moist first. And then, same as before, we look for an area in the internode region, and then kailangan may node in between with like a medyo grown na aerial root. So same thing as before, I guess. You just cut it diagonally dun sa internode, and then just poke it here. Poke the soil. Just put the entire thing in. So you have to make sure na it's like completely inside. And then cover it with the soil. Yeah, basically that's it. You just have to water it every day and make sure that it's moist. Not naman super basa, basta moist. That should be good. The last one is medyo different. It's the layering one. So I guess an advantage of layering is that like parang it's more sure na mag-grow siya, and like more chances for it to like live kasi for the ones before, yung mga cutting, the stem cutting, I mean it's also reliable naman, but then there's a chance na mamamatay siya kasi yung roots, especially if the roots are not yet that developed, if the aerial roots are not yet that developed. So what you have to do is you have to wrap, like I have this thing here, and then later we're gonna put like cocoa peat and rooting hormone para you put it on the aerial root, and then you wrap it around para it will induce like longer root growth. For the last part, which is layering, I have here cocoa peat, which we will use as like the soil, and then I have here root hormone. So this promotes like the growth of the roots, the adventitious roots on the stem. And then I have this thing na where we will put the soil and the rooting hormone into para you just like clamp it on where the aerial root is. So basically ganyan. And if you don't have this, you can buy it on Lazada, and you don't need it din naman. You can just have like a pot. I'll just use this example. You can just have a pot with soil, and then you just bury it inside na naka-attach pa siya dun sa original plant. So bury it inside, and then that's where you do it. But for the purpose of this demo, I'll just use this one para mas convenient. So yung cocoa peat, you have to make it damp first. So I'll just spray a lot of water. Okay, so make sure it's really damp para siya. Okay, and then add some of this, the rooting hormone.
You can buy the rooting hormone.
Yeah. Also, parang you can buy all of these naman on Lazada. Yeah, actually yung rooting hormone, we can also put it dun sa mga ginawa natin kanina, like the water propagation. You can just put it there para mag-grow pa yung roots niya. And also, like the soil one, you can just put it here para ma-promote yung growth ng roots. Just, better chances of the plant actually growing instead of dying. So yeah, let's just put like a bit. No specified amount naman. Maybe just not too much. And then, okay, just the kinda, you have to mix it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the kinda mushy part. Okay, it has to be really moist. Cook it. Okay, and then after that, you can put it here on both sides. So let's just fill it up with this. And then after that, you find a part of the node na merong aerial relief, preferably there. And then basically you just put it here and you make sure na, it's really gonna be like submerged into the soil. And then you close it. And after you close it, you just put like these cables around.
This is the one.
Yun. So basically that's it. Ito na yun.
Wow.
And then after 1 month, like that's when you remove it. And then dapat may adventitious roots. And then after meron ng roots, you cut it. You cut it how I did it kanina with the water and the soil propagation. And then you put it in the soil. So yeah, this is just to make sure na may growth pa nung roots even before you plant it, para more chances of absorbing water, absorbing the nutrients and everything. This one,
Wow.
this one is the same as, it's also a pothos, what I showed you kanina. And yeah, this one na propagate na siya. And like usually when it grows really big na, like this one kasi, the one I showed kanina, wala siyang a supporting structure. Kaya, it's just it's just hanging, basically. Yeah, but then for this one, nilagyan namin yung supporting structure para it will grow around the structure. Actually, basically, a lot of these things, especially with planting, it's really kind of experiment then, especially with different kinds of plants, because the plants, they all work really differently. Like there are some plants na you can't do this with kasi wala siyang mga aerial roots and stuff. Like you don't know where to put it. So yeah, research is really important.